A very warm welcome to the show. Thank you for choosing Smart 24 TV, and we say we drive your business. This is Financial Markets, the Monday edition. We are back in action, and of course it's a new week, the final week of September, but also significantly for us in the financial markets, it is the final week of the third quarter of the year 2023. We are crossing into the last and final lap of the year. That is the fourth quarter of 2023, and that means, of course, a lot of changes in terms of planning. And so far, how much has your company done? How much is your portfolio bringing in? A lot, of course, comes into play when you talk about the end of the financial year or the end of the calendar year. A lot of things have to be adjusted and checks and balances have to be done. Well, my name is Anthony. Once again, this is the Financial Markets, and you can follow us on Twitter at Smart24TV now. You can also go to our Facebook page at Smart24TV Official and Instagram at Smart24TV _. And you can also give us feedback through our YouTube channel, and that is in the comment section. Well, tonight we have a lot in stock for you. We have, of course, Stanbic Bank Uganda performed quite well just on Friday, closing off Friday with the biggest gains. Stanbic is one of those outstanding companies in Uganda when it comes to the listed stocks in the Uganda stock exchanges, and they have at least reached their highest price ever last Friday. Then also in the news, we have NSSF's investments growing to 20 trillion, projected to grow to 20 trillion by 2025, according to the NSSF director. We'll be looking at the details there of NSSF and how it is investing. Also, NSSF still further has projected a massive gain or massive interest coming in from the investments of about 2 trillion Ugandan shillings next year. And that is ahead of this week's annual general meeting, which is going to be held online for all stakeholders in NSSF. We also have a story about Capital Markets Authority, which is regulating the capital markets, and it's saying that investors should be aware of the risky investments, especially into companies that are unregulated. That is something we're going to be looking at also as well on the show. But first, just a reminder that Altex East Africa is your #1 stock exchange, private stock exchange. Altex gives you stocks. It also gives you treasury bond market under the ZABU initiative. My money, my future. Now, what is my money, my future? ZABU is saying you can simply dial *292# and follow the prompts to be able to buy or sell treasury bonds in the East African market, fixed income market. Now, the East African community has Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, DRC, and Rwanda. However, the Altex East Africa Stock Exchange is saying you can now buy bonds in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania with a simple dial of *292#. Interestingly, also ZABU is giving you as little as 15,000 as the minimum requirement for investment. So that's why we are saying with Altex East Africa, you can do something new. Treasury bonds are some of the safest assets out there for investment in the financial markets. So take advantage and let Altex East Africa do something new in your life. Let's get into the stock exchange business here on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Uganda Securities Exchange has 18 listings, 8 cross listings, and 10 domestic listings. Now, on Friday, that was the final weekday of trading last week. At least 946 million Ugandan shillings was traded, and the current market capitalization of the exchange is at least 16.3 trillion Ugandan shillings. In as far as the stock performance, there were 4 equities that participated in trade, ending the day with 8 gainers and at least 1 loser. Stanbic Bank Uganda led the gainers with a gain of at least 0.95%, and that was closing off at a price appreciation of 30.97 Ugandan shillings, which is one of their highest so far. Now, this was after a gain of at least about 0.29 Ugandan shillings. Stanbic has generally improved their performance overall in the third quarter of 2023. Let's have a look at the detailed performance of Stanbic stock in at least the last 5 years. Stanbic Bank Uganda is a financial institution, of course, given a license by Bank of Uganda to offer different services, including banking, retail banking, including credit facilitation and other financial services. The bank has a number of automated teller machines across the country and offers one of the best customer service, at least by statistics. Stanbic Bank Uganda was listed on the 25th of January 2007. That means they have at least over about 16 years or so on the Uganda Securities Exchange. When you look at their market capitalization currently as per the base price, that is 30.97 Ugandan shillings. They are currently valued at 1.59 trillion Ugandan shillings, which is about 9.75% of the Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. That makes them the 5th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, Stanbic Bank Uganda on Friday closed at a price of 30.97 Ugandan shillings per share. This was after the appreciation of 0.29 Ugandan shillings, or about 0.95% appreciation in price. This was an improvement, generally speaking. However, the stock price has been rising this entire year. When you look at their year-to-date performance, Stanbic Bank Uganda is one of those stocks that has gained massively in terms of year-to-date at a 47.5% appreciation in price. Let's see, at the beginning of this year, their stock price was around 21 Ugandan shillings. And now we have 30 Ugandan shillings, 30.9 Ugandan shillings, almost 31. That makes an improvement of 47.5%. Stanbic Bank Uganda is also the 3rd most traded on stock. Now, when you are investing, one of the things you look at is activity. Activity gives you the opinion that investors have about a particular company based on sentiments, based on performance, or anything that they could be thinking about. And one way to tell is how many shares are traded in a specific period. And for Stanbic Bank Uganda, in the last 3 months or in the last 1 quarter, at least a total of 18.7 million shares has been traded, valued at 510 million Ugandan shillings, achieved on the 6th. And when you look at their highest volume, it was about 2.7 million Ugandan, 7 million shares that was traded on the 6th of July. That's when Stanbic had their highest volume, 2.7 million shares. But on average, they trade about 296,000 shares per trading session. Now let's reflect. Stanbic Bank Uganda, first of all, it's a financial institution, but amongst all the institutions that are listed, we have several banks. We have KCB, we do have Equity Bank, we do have a couple of other banks or institutions like Bank of Baroda, we do have DFCU Bank or Development Finance Company Uganda. But amongst all these, let's see what makes Stanbic stand out. Now, this year, Anjuko, the CEO or the Chief Executive Officer of the company, at least issued the financial statements to the public. And this was around the month of May. Stanbic reported a 33% growth in the profit after tax, resulting from diversification of its revenue streams. In details contained in the bank's results this year, actually the results for last year, the financial year 2022, Stanbic indicated that its profit after tax had grown to 366 billion due to a deliberate move, according to Madame Anjuko, to diversify their revenue streams arising from lending to various sectors of the economy. Now, remember, last year was a year of recovery. Even right now, we are still in a little bit of recovery mode. When you look at businesses in Uganda, COVID-19 ravaged most of the businesses. They were worn out. By the end of the pandemic, or at least seemingly when the pandemic was easing, most businesses were shutting. That means they needed credit. And institutions like Stanbic Bank Uganda were some of those that were able to issue a lot of credit to businesses. And of course, on paying back, these come with interests. And this is why we're seeing Stanbic Bank standing out in the financial year 2022 with about 366 billion Ugandan shillings in profit. Now, Stanbic, which remains Uganda's biggest bank by assets, by the way, has seen its profit margin also grow, notwithstanding an unstable economic environment characterized by, of course, high commodity prices and inflation as well, on top of the COVID-19 pandemic. For instance, the bank reported in 2021 also a profit of 275 billion. This was a period of COVID-19. But they registered a profit of 275 billion. And I don't remember the figure of 2020, but I'm pretty sure it was much lower than that. But during the COVID-19 period, they had 275 billion worth of profits. Now, this is an increase from, actually, this is the figure from 2020, 243 billion from 2020. During the end of period 2022, customer deposits also grew by 6.8% from at least 5.7 trillion to 6.1 trillion. The deposits are at 6.1 trillion. And when you look at loans and advances, they rose to 4.1 trillion and at least 3.7 trillion respectively. Assets grew by about 3.9% to 9 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, I think you can make sense of why investors are so interested in this stock. First of all, the stock is affordable. 30 Ugandan shillings, you have a share. There are stocks like KCB at 1,200 shillings on average. There are stocks like DFCU Bank at over 500 shillings on average per share. And now we're talking about Stanbic Bank Uganda, which has a performance record of an increase in profit margin, an increase in assets under management or in the assets worth, an increase in the deposits. That promises growth. That means that people are trusting this institution. It's not about blowing the horn for anyone, but this is where you give credit where it is due. Investors in Stanbic last year, if you invest, not last year, at the beginning of this year, if you invested money in Stanbic Bank Uganda, let's say you invested in 1 million shares. You bought shares at 21 million. Right now, your shares are worth 30 million. Think about it. In a space of just 9 months. That means at least you've added 1 million every single month. 1 million. And that's investing in a stock that is working. This is exactly where investors need to draw their attention and try to pick a few lessons here and there and get to know how investing in especially stock markets really helps grow you as an individual. It helps not only the individual, but also the fact that your portfolio is an asset. It is something that you can use as collateral. It is something, shares are something you can use as collateral in case you're looking for credit. This is collateral. And if your stock is performing this well, you even have much better chances. So this is just to give you viewers, our dear viewers, a tip on investing. Make your own research. Make research and make sure you have enough information about the investment. Don't invest in what you don't understand or just because of a wave. But you can see investors, for example, in such an institution, they know what they're doing. They have seen the deposits grow. They have seen the profits grow in the last 3 months, rather in the last 3 years. And they don't expect them to go down anytime soon. And that's why more people are buying stocks, even when the prices are going down. At times, it's the best time to get into the market and actually make difference in your portfolio. Well, that's it from Stanbic, but I just wanted to really get into that so that we could get a picture, a 360 degrees picture of what the stock at Stanbic really teaches us about investment and about making research. Now, Umeme also updated up about 0.13% value, and Umeme closed the day at 409.48 Ugandan shillings per share, whereas the East African Breweries Limited at least added 0.04%, and the Equity Bank stock added 0.04% as well. Now, the only equity that lost value was the Jubilee Holdings Limited stock at a 9.36% depreciation in price, and Jubilee Holdings lost to a price of 4,603.70. Now, these are highly priced stocks, activity is low, and the losses are big sometimes, so it's tricky, quite tricky, but they still have shareholders. Trust me, there are shareholders out there for Jubilee Holdings, and they have their stocks, and they can sell anytime in case they find people interested in buying. Now, regarding the performance of the index, the USE All Share Index, which is the benchmark index, at least also lost at least 0.53 points, down to 947 points, generally due to the big loss of Jubilee Holdings Limited. The US local company index, on the other hand, increased by 0.21%. Thanks for the performance of Umeme and Stanbic for this particular index. That's it from the Uganda Stock Exchange. You can buy stocks now at the Uganda Stock Exchange by opening an SCD account, and you start your journey of trading with the Uganda Securities Exchange. But also, Airtel Uganda are on their IPO, which is about to end on the 13th of October. They'll be closing their initial public offer. Airtel Uganda is coming to join MTN Uganda on the Uganda Securities Exchange following the requirements by the UCC Act amended 2020 that every telecommunications company should register at least 20% stake on the Uganda Stock Exchange for public investment. Now, Airtel Uganda is issuing over 800 billion Ugandan shillings. They're looking to collect 800 billion Ugandan shillings out of, and each share is going for 100 shillings. So that's about 8 billion shares that they're looking for from the Uganda Securities Exchange. Will they hit the target? Will it be undersubscribed? That is a question that I leave to you, and we wait for the 13th of October to find out what the company is doing. But there has been a lot of publicity. Thank God, there has been a lot of publicity on their different media platforms. There's been publicity on their different posters as well on the road about buying shares at Airtel Uganda. Yes, it's a new company coming into a space where nowadays the telecommunications company are big, like MTN Uganda. When you go to Kenya, Safaricom is on top of the stocks there. So it's a competitive space, but it will also bring a lot of appetite for competition amongst different stakeholders within the industry, because now the industry is going to be exposed. One of the advantages of listing, at least to the public, is that now the company is naked. You can no longer hide anything. You have to issue financial statements in newspapers. You have to tell people about the performance of the company. You have to issue a prospectus, which gives you at least the last 3 years of performance, how the company has been performing. So literally, you know everything about the company. And also, you get to decide where the company is in terms of value. How much value do you want to attach to Airtel Uganda? So that's something we're looking forward to. Airtel Uganda, by at least 31st of October, will be listed officially on the Uganda Stock Exchange. So we pray for a successful IPO for Airtel, and I hope you are out there, of course, investing and trying out this new stock. Now, in another story that was developing, the NSSF project's fund size is set to grow to a tune of 20 trillion Ugandan shillings by next year. Now, this National Social Security Fund, the boss, Mr. Patrick Ayot, has said that the size of the fund is projected to grow to the 20 trillion mark at least by 2024. This was in details provided ahead of the fund's annual members meeting, which is going to be virtual and is due this week. Mr. Patrick Ayota, the NSSF Managing Director, said The assets under management had been projected to expand to 20 trillion Ugandan shillings by 2025, but achieving the growth by the 6th of June 2024. That's at the close of the financial year. Now, this remains the strategic goal of the National Social Security Fund. The projected increase means that NSSF will, in the medium term, grow the size of the fund at least 1.5 trillion from 18.56 trillion in the period ended June 2023 to 20.20 trillion Ugandan shillings next year. Now, NSSF also projected a gain or an interest of about 2 trillion in the next year's performance. NSSF is one of the biggest investors when it comes to financial markets across East Africa. You find that NSSF money is invested in Ugandan stocks, in Tanzania stocks, in Kenyan stocks, in fixed incomes. Actually, fixed incomes take up a very huge portion of the investments, and you can tell the return, 2 trillion mark by next year. That's what they're projecting. That means also the interest rate might have to rise. Now, NSSF, the income attributed to NSSF investments grew by 15% in the year ended June this year. In the details released last week, NSSF indicated that investment income in the 2022-2023 financial statements increased from 1.9 trillion to 2.2 trillion, which suggests an increase in returns to members' savings during the period. NSSF has, in the last 4 years as well, registered an average increase in income of at least 350 billion Ugandan shillings, growing from 891 billion in 2018-2019 to at least 1.47 trillion in 2019-2020. The fund also registered an increase in the following years as per the data from NSSF. This is just to show you how much investments NSSF is doing on your behalf if you are a saver with NSSF. And that is something that you should also learn from as well. Just as an individual, make sure you're investing that saving. Don't keep money on the bank account dormant for a month, doing nothing, only paying charges, bank charges, and so on. Invest. Unit trusts, fixed incomes, stocks, crypto. This is the new way to generate income. It's the new way to make money and get rich. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching Smart24 TV. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Smart24 TV now, and on YouTube, our channel is Smart24 TV Live. My name is Anthony. Remember to invest with Altex East Africa and make a difference by simply dialing *292#. Have a lovely day and a nice week. Bye for now.